You're standing at a party. Music's playing, people are laughing, conversations are happening all around you. Somebody puts a drink in your hand. A few minutes later, someone else pulls you into a conversation. But deep down inside, somewhere in your chest, there's still this quiet emptiness, this strange hollow feeling, like you're separated from everything around you by a sheet of glass. Everybody else feels close to each other, and you're just there, technically present, but mentally somewhere else. And if you've ever felt that before, there's something important you need to hear. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not strange, and you're definitely not the only person who feels lonely while being surrounded by people. This is actually one of the most misunderstood things in psychology today. And in this video, we're going to break down why this happens, what it really means, and what's actually happening inside the minds of people who feel disconnected even in crowded rooms. But first, we need to clear up something most people completely misunderstand. Loneliness has never really been about the number of people around you. That's not what causes it. A person can have hundreds of contacts in their phone, plans every weekend, family dinners every Sunday, and still carry this emptiness they can't fully explain. At the same time, somebody else can sit alone in silence and feel completely calm and fulfilled. So what separates those two experiences? In psychology, there's a term for it. It's called perceived social isolation, and it has nothing to do with how many people exist in your life. What matters is how emotionally connected you feel to them. That painful space between being around people and truly feeling understood by them, that's where loneliness really begins. Think about the last time you were sitting in a group conversation. Maybe it happened at work. Maybe it was with friends. People were talking over each other, telling stories, laughing at things only they understood. And maybe you smiled too. Maybe you nodded along and said all the right things. But somewhere inside your mind, there was still this quiet question. Does anybody here actually know who I am? Like, really know me? That feeling matters more than people realize. Your brain is trying to tell you something important. Human beings are built for real emotional connection, not just physical closeness. We don't only need people near us. We need people who understand us, people who can see beyond the version of ourselves we show everybody else. And this is where things become really interesting. A lot of people who constantly feel lonely in social situations are actually some of the most emotionally aware people in the room. They notice subtle things. They feel emotions deeply. And because of that, shallow conversations can feel exhausting. Talking about the weather, work schedules, weekend plans, all that small talk starts to feel empty after a while. Not because they hate people, but because they're craving something deeper. They want something genuine. And surface-level conversations never satisfy that need. Picture someone at work. Let's call her Sarah. Sarah is nice to everybody. She smiles all the time, joins team lunches, and always seems friendly and approachable. But every single night, she drives home feeling emotionally exhausted and strangely empty inside. And she can't fully understand why. She spends all day around people. She's not socially awkward. She's not rude or distant. So what's the problem? Honestly, nothing is wrong with Sarah at all. The real issue is that every interaction in her life stays at the surface. She talks about projects at work, laughs at her boss's jokes, asks coworkers how their weekend went. But nobody ever goes deeper than that. Nobody asks Sarah how she's really feeling. Nobody knows what scares her, what she dreams about, or what keeps her awake at night. And over time, Sarah slowly learned to hide those parts of herself. Maybe she opened up once before and got ignored. Maybe she grew up in a home where emotions were pushed aside. So eventually, she adapted. She became skilled at being socially present while quietly hiding the real version of herself from everybody around her. And the sad part is, The hidden version of Sarah is the part that feels lonely. Psychology actually has a name for this. It's called emotional loneliness. And it's very different from social loneliness. Social loneliness happens when you simply don't have enough people around you. Emotional loneliness happens when you're surrounded by people, but none of those relationships feel emotionally deep or meaningful. And emotional loneliness can hurt the most in moments where you'd expect to feel connected, not sitting alone on a Friday night, but standing in a room full of people who supposedly know you while still feeling invisible. Think about this for a second. Imagine you're scrolling through Instagram. Everybody seems happy. People are posting pictures with friends, vacations, inside jokes, group dinners, all these perfect moments together. And maybe you were just at a party last weekend yourself. You were smiling in the photos. You laughed with everybody else. You showed up. But even after all that, something still feels missing inside you. And that feeling isn't really jealousy. It's more like a signal. Your mind is trying to tell you that the relationships in your life still aren't giving you the deep emotional connection you actually need. Real emotional closeness. The kind where somebody understands the parts of your life you don't normally show people, not just the polished version you let everyone see online. And this is the part almost nobody ever talks about. Loneliness has a way of creating more loneliness. When a person feels emotionally disconnected for a long time, the brain slowly starts shifting into a defensive state. You become more sensitive to rejection. You start overthinking people's reactions. Even neutral situations can begin to feel cold or unfriendly. So naturally, you start holding yourself back a little more. You reveal less about yourself. You focus more on acting okay instead of actually being honest. And the more you hide, the more invisible you feel. Which makes you pull away even more. And before you realize it, you're stuck inside this cycle. And honestly, it's mentally exhausting. So what actually changes this? Usually, it's not going to more parties or filling your calendar with more social events. It's not forcing yourself through endless small talk either. What really helps is depth, not numbers. One real conversation where you stop filtering yourself. One friendship where you don't feel pressure to play a role or wear a mask. One genuine moment where somebody looks at you and you can honestly feel that they understand you. That's the thing that starts breaking the cycle. And sometimes, the hardest first step is simply allowing yourself to be visible, which usually means taking a small emotional risk, saying what you actually feel instead of saying what sounds safest, choosing honesty over comfort in a conversation. And yeah, that can feel uncomfortable, because vulnerability is uncomfortable. But at the same time, vulnerability is also the thing that connects people. It's the bridge between physically being around others and emotionally feeling close to them. So if you've spent years feeling lonely even in crowded places, that doesn't mean there's something defective about you. It usually means you're someone who craves deeper connection than most surface-level relationships can offer. And that's not weakness. Honestly, that's one of the most human needs a person can have. You're not too emotional. You're not asking for too much. Most of the time, you've just been surrounded by people who couldn't meet you at that depth. But the right people do exist, and the right connections are real.